everyone, and welcome to Already Cancelled. I almost said just the name of the show there. We're talking about Twilight Zone, the classic Twilight Zone. This is Season 1, Episode 29, and it's called Nightmare as a Child. So, full spoilers for the episode, as always. Tara, had you seen this one before? Or did you remember it, I suppose is maybe a more accurate question.
Did you?
I'd definitely seen all of Season 1 before, but I didn't remember it. Like, you know, nothing triggered in my mind at any point. Well, that said, though, one of the first things I'm going to say about this one is that it was very obvious exactly where it was going. Every time it introduced something that was kind of a mystery, I knew what the answer to the mystery was. And not because I'd seen it before and it was like in my mind somewhere. It was just like really obvious to me. Each step of the way.
I don't remember watching this one before, but yeah, a lot of things were pretty obvious.
Yeah. It's entirely set in one apartment and the stairwell leading to said door. And it is about a woman who comes home. She's a school teacher, and she runs into this little girl and sort of offers some hot chocolate, invites her in, which I feel like in 2019 is a no-no. You don't just invite a random kid into your house. You get accused of a lot of weird shit. Don't do it.
She's a teacher. No one's going to accuse a nice 20-something-year-old teacher.
Okay, well, fellow bearded
female teacher.
Yeah, fellow bearded men with glasses never invite random children into your house. Just FYI, that's not a good idea. So yeah, but basically, it becomes clear that she's repressed some kind of memories. You know, the kid's asking about her past, and it kind of gets kind of weird. She knows some weird details, and then this man shows up who claims to have known her mother back in the day when she was a kid, and kind of we find out that her mother was murdered. And then this is a lot to do with what she's repressing. And the story of the episode is basically just her coming to remember what happened. So that's how I describe it. Tara, did you enjoy Nightmare as a Child?
It was pretty predictable, yeah. But I still kind of liked it. I thought it was pretty well done.
I enjoyed it. I liked the tone of it. It did lose a little something the more it went on because it kept... Like, I kept just like... Okay, so I figured out very, very quickly, like I just said, okay, this little girl is just herself. Like this was who she was as a kid. Like I sort of said that to myself fairly quickly, and I was still, okay, but let's discover what it's about. And the guy shows up, and when the guy brings up that her mother was murdered and they never caught the man who did it, I immediately went, well, that's you then, obviously.
Obviously. They have to wrap up the story in like 25 minutes, so yeah. Who else is it going to be?
So I really enjoyed the first half. I think the second half, where she actually remembers things, there's a couple of neat bits in there, but it suffers a little bit from not really having like a, I don't want to say a twist, but like I don't know, like a statement, like a point. Like I think it's an enjoyable little just thing for what it is, but it doesn't really have much memorable about it. It's, you know, I don't think in a couple of years' time I'm going to remember this episode and be like, oh, I remember the one where this happened, because there's nothing super notable about it.
No, I would agree with that, but I still think that the idea of her repressing the memory of her from her childhood, and that memory manifests itself as herself as a little girl, and she doesn't even remember like the name that she used to go by because she's literally like forgotten everything on purpose.
Yeah, Marky, I believe.
It all comes together. The name. It all comes together because she happens to see this guy again. That's when her repressed memory comes back in the form of a person that she can communicate with. I think that's kind of a cool storyline, even though it is predictable. And when he starts like revealing his plan and what he's been doing this whole time is totally ridiculous. But
yeah, I do actually like the reason why it's happening now. The reason why this girl sort of appears and is in her head, and it's actually quite a creepy. The first like few minutes are quite creepy. When we hear the child singing happening in the distance. It's very creepy, and it has like almost a horror tone to it. And I think what I liked about it is that clearly the reason why this little girl, this part of her brain starts doing this, because she sees, because it mentions a couple of times that she saw this man at the traffic lights outside the school, and presumably he was watching her. He was, you know, keeping an eye on her and like sort of just spying from a distance. And I like the idea that seeing his face again is what's triggered this sort of this cascade of memories to start kind of trickling through and ultimately come out. So I like the motivation. I like that it's not just random that it's happening. Like it's justified by the fact that he's around. So okay, I like that part of it, and I like the general tone of it and the creepiness. I like the actors for the most part. I think the lead is pretty good.
I think the little girl's really good too. She's really creepy, like successfully so. It's funny because normally my complaint with like child actors is that because they're written by adults who don't remember how children talk, they always sound like tiny adults in kids' bodies. But in this case, it kind of makes sense that she would.
Well, it's from her mind. It's as an adult talking to a kid.
That she would talk like an adult.
Yeah. And she even comments on it.
Creepy.
She comments on it at one point when she's bringing the kid up when she still thinks she was real to this guy, whose name I think was Peter actually.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, when she brings up the kid, she mentions, oh, she was a very sharp little. What was that? What was that? Some of my name.
Such an evil name. Clearly, he's the villain.
How dare you? I am shocked, appalled. This is scandalous. Defamation.
I don't trust anyone named Peter. My mother told me never to, so clearly it's something all women know. Sorry.
I'm going to have words with your mother. But anyway, if we're done accusing me of being the worst possible human being on the planet.
No, just unfortunately named. That's all.
Oh, just unfortunately named. Okay. All right. Okay. I'll have words with my mother then.
Yes.
About the naming.
Sense.
Yes, and I'll change my name.
Ooh, what are you gonna go with? Arnold?
Would you like me to be called Arnold?
It's not up to me. But if you want to go for cool,
I don't know. You brought
Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Bit French sounding. I know he's Belgian, not French, but Jean-Claude sounds French. You just said Arnold very quickly. You didn't even have to think about it. You just it was like that. It was like, well, what should I call myself?
We've been watching all the Terminator films.
Yeah, you could have said Sarah.
Also, I don't really have like a proper setup here, and I just have my laptop on top of a stack of books.
Uh-huh.
And one of the books I use is my Arnold Schwarzenegger's Complete Guide or Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding. So it's the first name I'm looking at. Also. Which is an excellent book for the pictures alone.
Although, much like John Connor, my mother's name is Sarah, so I am clearly the future savior of the human race.
Don't say that. People will find you.
I'm not going to reveal my mother's last name, but I really want to do the Arnold impression of the, opening the door and be like, Sarah Connor. Anyway, but yes, so what were we talking about? Yes, we're talking about him kind of like hearing about the little girl and not, being like, well, I don't hear any singing. What's singing? It's like, do you hear it? And he's off in the distance. You hear, I think it's Twinkle Twinkle Little Star at one point she's singing.
Mm-hmm. Or, if she's just doing the melody, it could be the ABC song, which if you didn't know is actually the same melody.
Yeah, it's also the same melody as...
I learned that way later in my life.
Yeah, also Baba Black Sheep's the same melody, which is...
God. You're right.
Yeah, I'll put it this way. I'll just hum the melody, and I want people to just at home try and think of any other songs that have used this same melody, right? Da 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 da. Right? I'm sure there's more. Joe, there's a similar one. Have you ever seen Halloween 3: Season of the Witch?
Mm-hmm.
Right. In that, it's the evil company selling these masks, these Halloween masks. That they've got this big plan. The plot of the movie is that on Halloween night, when all the kids are watching TV, it'll trigger this reaction, right? But the advert for these masks they're selling is a happy, happy Halloween, 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 happy, happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock. What's that tune?
Yankee Doodle? No.
No, it's London's Bridge is falling down.
London Bridge, yeah.
It's just that thing where you hear it and just you go for a second like, that sounds familiar. What is that?
All right. Well, this has been quite a tangent.
This has been a tangent. It's been a fun tangent though. But yeah, we could get back to the case at hand, which, yeah, I think the first half was better than the second because I was really enjoying the mystery. But the actual unraveling of the mystery was almost less interesting because it was just exactly the obvious thing that it was clearly going to be as soon as they introduced the mystery.
I liked it up until the point where he revealed his master plan.
Sure.
Which was just dumb.
I did like the flashback though, when she's in bed and you see like the shadow. Yeah,
actually.
Like, you see him strangling the mother. You don't see his face. He's in shadow, but like you see him strangling the mother, and then she wakes up and starts screaming at the little girl, and he's almost coming for her as if he's going to kill the little girl. But then her screaming like alerts other people to come, and he has to run off. It's actually a really sinister little scene. I'm like, that's actually one of the darkest scenes they've had on this show so far.
I agree.
Yeah, it was
pretty sinister.
It was very old school, kind of theatrical as well. You know, it's like, you know, the shadow.
Well, it's just like shadow puppets, yeah.
And coming for her. Like, I like that though. I'm not complaining about that. I think there's a lot of charm in that.
I think so too.
I'll tell you what the worst scene of the episode is though.
Is it when he falls down the stairs?
No, that does look pretty bad, admittedly.
Well, it looks okay, but except they have a shot on him when he hits the bottom, and it's just clearly a different guy.
Yeah, it's because obviously, like once he reveals who he is, he's like, I've been waiting because I knew your memory was going to trigger and come back at some point, so I'm here to finish the job. And he goes to attack her, and the struggle's really weak because nothing really happens. He just kind of like they go out to the stairs and he kind of like falls down them. It's very
it's just directed poorly. Like they could have made it look like she pushed him down the stairs.
Yeah, or just made it look like a good trip. Like, you know, he swung for her and then like went, you know, over the banister or something. But it just kind of felt awkward and like, oh, we just have to have him fall down the stairs, so we'll just do it in the most weird way possible. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's real clunky and yeah, it's like the part of WrestleMania when you watch and you know it's like that punch didn't even land. I don't really watch wrestling.
Well, wrestling is very knowingly fake, and they can't like cut around it the same way that a movie can. So you just accept it. Yeah, sometimes it's going to look a bit stupid. Yeah. Like, you just kind of accept it. It's fine. Whatever. You don't actually want them to murder each other because a lot of the things they were doing, if they did them for real, would actually kill them. So.
And I know they really do get hurt. I watched that wrestler movie. It was brutal.
What's Beyond the Mat?
No, The Wrestler.
Oh yeah, the Mickey Rourke movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a good movie. I like that movie.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Might even be my favorite Aronofsky movie, which is funny because it's the least Aronofsky movie that he's made because it was more of a straight drama, but it was actually really good. But hey, so anyway, the worst scene in the episode is after this. It's the two cops standing at the top of the stairs explaining the entire plot to us like we're idiots.
I know. So unnecessary.
It felt like, it felt another minute.
Every time they said something, I went, yeah, I get it. I got that from the show.
Do you know what? It was, and I'm about to like make fun of a classic here, right? But the worst scene in Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho is the explanation scene at the end where the psychiatrist has to like stand there and explain everything. And don't get me wrong. Oh, I'm dying. Right. Don't get me wrong. In Psycho, I at least give it more leeway because the concepts they're dealing with in Psycho, I have to imagine, were fairly alien to a mainstream audience in 1960. Notably the same year this episode aired, actually, now I'm thinking about it. But, you know, because he's talking about this man dressing as a woman and killing people. Okay, sure. And yeah, spoilers for Psycho. I'm sorry if I revealed the twist. But, like, you know, he's talking about a lot of things that I if I'm thinking about it, I don't necessarily think they would have like understood those concepts or had the words for them, and it's kind of like educating the audience in a weird way. But it's still this really weird exposition scene at the end of the movie. Whereas here, it's like it was a 25-minute story. Not even that, taking out the ads and the you know the opening and you know all the little bits that kind of make up the runtime.
Yeah.
And it's just these two cops. He's like, well, there is no little girl. The little girl's herself. And I'm like, how did you deduce that? How did this cop deduce that she was seeing herself as a kid?
Well, I think one of them might have been a doctor.
Okay. All right. Fair. I mean, I didn't get that vibe, but you may be right. I just don't know. The scene. I
mean, it was still totally unnecessary because we got it all.
Yes,
It wasn't even that subtle, like in the actual show. So whatever.
Yeah, really.
Maybe they just needed to tack on another hour.
Yeah.
Or not hour, but
yeah. I was like, how long was this episode? How long was this episode you watched? Did you watch the super extended director's cut? And what I'm about to say is not a complaint, but I did get the feeling this was an episode they did to save money because it's all just in the one apartment the entire time. And I know a lot of episodes only have a couple of sets typically, but this one especially.
But man, her apartment looked nice for a teacher's salary.
I mean, all TV and movies are guilty of that.
Yeah.
I mean, have you ever seen like an episode of Friends and how big their apartment is, and they're meant to be like struggling 20-somethings? Yeah, they have like this ridiculously big apartment in New York City, and it is insane.
Yeah, Manhattan, right?
Yeah, like they're in Manhattan, and they've got this like I'm pretty sure I read an article once. It was like I went through like a bunch of like TV like apartments and like houses and said this is how much they would probably cost, roughly. And it's like, yeah, they're not making that 10 grand a month that would cost to live here.
Jerry Seinfeld played himself, so you can buy that he had a pretty decent apartment.
True.
Kramer, I don't really understand.
To be fair, Jerry's apartment wasn't that amazing. Like, I mean, for TV standards, it was fine. Like, it was.
It's like bachelor pad in New York. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, at least it didn't look ridiculously big. Was it Tim? Tim just said to me yesterday he had the George answering machine thing stuck in his head, and immediately as soon as he said that, I'm like, believe it or not, George isn't at home. Got that.
That's taken from something, but I don't know.
I can't say I do either.
Believe it or not, you're running on air. I don't know, something like that. There are other lyrics to it. He just sang over it. Anyway.
Yeah. Hey.
It's also kind of a weird, like, optimistic ending where she, like, sees another girl and says, like, I don't know, like, she leaves with a smile, like she did something good and she saved another girl from trauma or something.
Yeah, because she's playing with a doll. Because she hears the sign, she goes outside thinking, "Oh, is she back? Is my younger self back?" And it's this little girl, and she says, "Oh, never lose that smile. Like, always keep that smile with you, no matter what. And you never want to lose it."
Ladies love hearing that. The show was written by a man. I knew it.
I think I get what it's doing in the context, though. She's basically saying, like, I lost my smile because I went through this traumatic, experience. And, I'm glad that you don't have to go through that. I hope that nothing like that ever happens to you. And she's kind of found her smile again because she's, like, finally, stood up to the man who murdered her mother.
I guess we've seen quite a few episodes now of, like, the woman who's being hysterical and nobody believes, but then ends up being right.
Yeah, and that's a trope that, like, still exists in horror movies today. Like, it's one of my least favorite tropes, actually, in supernatural, like, in ghost movies, where, like, there's, like, a demon or a ghost in the house, and the husband's always at work, and he doesn't believe her. He's like, "Oh, honey, you must be crazy. It must be stress getting to you. There's not a ghost. Don't be crazy, woman. You're on your period? What's happening?" And it's
those dang periods.
It's one of my least favorite tropes because it's just this tedious thing where there's just to create the conflict, where he doesn't believe her, and she has to try and convince him. Like, I can't remember what movie it was, but there was a movie in the last couple of years that just immediately had the husband believe her. Like, just immediately did something in front of him so that it proved to him that it was right. And I was like, "Thank you, movie. Thank you for just doing this straight away."
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it still happens all the time. Sometimes it's good. Like, it happened in Hereditary, and that was a decent film.
That was a good movie, yeah. No, I mean, it can be used well, especially if it's been used as an allegory. If it's been used as let's say we're talking about women not being believed about something, about being assaulted, right? You could use it as an allegory for that in a good script, where you say, okay, the idea that they don't believe the women that something's actually happening, that they ignore the danger. It's kind of what the new Halloween was trying to do, but they stuffed too many ideas in it, and it didn't have time to actually develop it and do it properly. But I respected the idea of it, even if the movie kind of whiffed on it.
Do you think, like, Serling was kind of like a feminist for always using this trope to... Maybe he was a bit ahead of his time. I don't know.
I feel like a lot of Twilight Zone has really progressive messages in it, so when, the idea of him being a feminist and part of that wouldn't shock me. But I've never read like a biography or looked into his life or anything like that to know for sure what he was
Me
like.
neither. Although there will be a movie about it.
That's true. We're going to get a movie, yeah, which I think we have to review, given that we're doing Twilight Zone. I think we have to be the pair to do that. So.
Sorry, Connor.
I don't know if Connor cares.
Probably not.
He probably doesn't.
Oh, it's being directed by the Donnie Darko guy, right?
Yeah.
Concerning. Why you're upset about it?
Yeah, that's concerning. And it's not just Donnie Darko. I mean, I did see Southland Tales. I had someone in university who loved that movie for some reason, and I watched it purely to satiate his demands, and I actually live commented as I was watching it about how ridiculous it was, and I'll remember it all now, but I remember just being every 2 minutes there'd been something else that was like, "Oh, what the hell is this movie doing? It makes no goddamn sense. It's just full of nonsense."
I don't know. I haven't seen it. I've seen Donnie Darko, and I didn't really get the appeal.
Yeah. 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 And Tara not liking Donnie Darko is part of why she was hired for this job. Thank you very much.
Yep.
So
put it on top of my resume.
Yeah, top of the resume. Hey, it's one of the most important things on your resume, quite frankly. that and you can trade aliens quotes with me back and forth. That was a good. That really nailed the job interview, quite frankly. All right, so Serling,
we got nukes, we got knives, sharp sticks.
We're in one express elevator to hell.
Going down.
Check it out. I'm the ultimate badass. Bill Paxton's so good.
Yeah, they're all Paxton quotes.
Yeah. So quotable in that movie, though. It's so cool.
So good. Quit your grinning and drop your linen.
I'm Hudson. He's Hicks.
Yeah. When are we going to do that one on the Ace?
I think the plan is to do Alien on Alien Day, or for Alien Day, in April. So maybe Aliens would be the year after that.
Mark your calendars.
Yeah, 26th April. 26th April. All right, so at the end, once again, Rod Serling was on set for this one. For the record, if we didn't tangent in this one, this would have been like one of the shortest reviews we'd ever done. So
probably it's only like an okay episode.
it's a really simple episode that is just like in one location with a really simple couple of ideas. But yeah, so he's on a train set. He's on an old train, which he says is a dinosaur, which I'm glad he kind of pointed out. It's one of those things where because it's in black and white and because it's from 1960, I don't think I would
know
have.
That it's a dinosaur. Yeah.
Like I would have. Yeah, that looks fine for the time period. Whatever. But he's like, no, it's an old train. So the next episode is called A Stop at Willoughby, episode 30 of season 1. So he mentioned that a train goes to some place that's both a place and a state of mind, which doesn't sound different to a couple other episodes we've had. I'm thinking Walking Distance mainly, but
I actually remember this episode.
Oh really? I do not. Episode 30 next week. You can look forward to it. This has been episode 29. You can let us know, of course, what you thought of the episode in the comments below. You can like and subscribe and all that stuff. You can get us on the Twitters at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. And if you want to support the show, you can do that by rating the podcast on your audio podcast app. Apple Podcasts being the most common one. If you want to support us financially,
you can go to our Patreon page. It's patreon.com/MildFuzzTV and donate as little as $1 per month and get a bunch of cool stuff for doing so, like bonus episodes of other shows we do, like the Ace, which we brought up earlier for Alien Week or Alien Day. It's our science fiction movie podcast. Pretty good. I like it. I listen to it. I'm probably our best subscriber.
Tara listens to everything she's on. It's weird. I don't, but Tara listens to everything she does. It's
someone needs to do a QA.
That's true. That's true. There was actually a bit of an accident last week on something.
Oh no! What happened?
Something slipped through the editing cracks. I'd forgotten to edit something out, and it was a false start on a TV review. And the reason why we had to restart is because Connor pissed me off so much. I got really angry at him and like dropped a bunch of F-bombs. So for a day, you could have seen this on the Too Old to Die Young episode 9 review.
Could see the real Peter.
But luckily, now it's just been fixed. I have fixed it. You can no longer hear me getting upset. But to those who saw it, I'm sure they got a good kick out of it.
I'm sorry I missed it.
I'll send you the outtake if you want. I mean,
yeah.
So yeah, that is everything basically. Check out all the content we do, of course. ASD sci-fi movie podcast that me and Tara do. Check out that. Check out Screams After Midnight, the horror movie podcast that me and Tim do. In fact, by the time you're getting this, it will be in the middle of the Octoberthon, in which me and Tim are pumping out episodes every single day of the month.
Oh my god, that's impossible.
Oh, not when you're me and Tim, baby. Not when you're me and Tim. So, that has been episode 29 of The Twilight Zone. We'll see you next time for episode 30. Thank you once again for watching and listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, guys, in The Twilight Zone.